take great comfort in the fact that if you're suffering from OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, you have landed at the right place. My name is Scott. This is my page. It's called Kabbalistic. It deals with the practical application of thought management. Kabbalah is Hebrew mysticism. It's been around way before the Hebrews documented it. It is unbelievable. And it cured my OCD. I don't manage my OCD. I don't accept my OCD or had accepted my OCD. I actually cured it with a simple technique that I'm going to show you here. You can apply it, and I promise you, you'll get instant relief. Let me just give you some of the scenarios real quick. If you are having horrible thoughts of, for example, my thoughts were just horrific. My kids dying, my wife leaving me, everything in the world wrong. The most horrific things would rifle through my mind 24/7, okay? If you find yourself trying to convert those thoughts into something beautiful, it's never going to work. You're going to be exhausted mentally. If you find yourself trying to accept and manage these thoughts, it's not going to work. Acceptance of them does tone it down a bit, but it does not cure OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. Take great comfort in the fact that I'm going to show you something right now that's going to undoubtedly change your life. It's going to give you instant relief. I want you to have an open, fluid mind, okay? Even if you're not, I don't want to say Hebrew mysticism and then turn everybody off who's not a believer in God. It's not about that. It's about an affliction that I survived. I came through it, that for some people is life-threatening or life-ending. And I know how serious it is, and I know where you are right now if you're suffering from pain from it. It saddens my heart that you're in this position, but I take great, I have a max gratitude that you're here, and here it is. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you how to fix it, cure it, and then I'm going to I'm going to explain it, and then I'm going to show you how to cure it, and then I'm also going to give you some pointers on what not to consume, what not to eat. Like coffee or caffeine is one of the worst things you can consume if you have OCD. One of the worst. But here we go. Let me just explain OCD, where it comes from and what it is. It's an error in thought. It comes from fear. When you are driving down the road and these thoughts, or you wake up in the morning and these thoughts just start rifling through your mind, these are conflicts within you that you have never settled. They could be conflicts that you had as from a child. It's fear, and all fear-based. And if you don't, if you, there's many different kinds of OCD, but the kind I had would run a scenario through my mind, an imaginary scenario, all the way to the end, and then start over like a movie reel. Suggestion after suggestion after suggestion after suggestion, until there came a point in time when I pondered ending my life, because the alcohol didn't work, the medication didn't work, and none of these people who treat OCD treated. Some of them, very rarely you'll run into a professional that knows how to treat it at the root like I do. But what they're going to do is they're going to give you tools just to manage it, to manage your OCD. You do not have to accept it, and you do not have to manage it. And I'm going to explain it to you like this. So if you want to cure your OCD, what you have to do 5 minutes before you're going to go to bed every night. Now, keep an open, fluid mind when I tell you this. Doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. It's Hebrew mysticism, reality creation. You're going to change your automatic thought pattern, just like this. 5 minutes before you go to bed every night, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine a time when you did not have OCD. I want you to imagine a time, take a picture in your mind, like a scenario of one of the most loving moments. Also, a moment in the future that you want to live through. Imagine a moment in the future that you want. If your life was 100% perfect and everything was perfect, and imagine from that place, do it in the first person, meaning that you're not watching it like you're watching it on TV. You're actually imagining it, looking through your eyes at your loved ones, for example, and they're looking back at you. Scan your hands, a drink in your hand. Just imagine a scenario in the future where your life is perfect. Back that with the feelings of being there. On top of that, while you're sitting there, standing there, whatever the scenario is, I want you to remember a time when you had OCD, and I want you to feel the feeling of relief. I'm glad that's over, and I want you to just have a conversation with your loved one with the feeling of relief. Have that loved one say to you, gosh, I remember how horrible you used to deal, how afflicted you were, how unhappy and how horrible your days were when you used to deal with your OCD. Aren't you glad that you don't have to deal with that anymore? And I want you to reply, remembering with the feeling of relief, like a loved one just walked through the door after you heard there was a problem down the street, a car accident or something. That feeling of relief when something you see happens to a child, but they're okay. That feeling of relief, accompanied with the thought of you no longer having to deal with OCD, is the key to never having to deal with OCD again. Now, in that scenario, in that imaginary scene in your mind, it has to be in the first person, and feeling is the key. And it has to be done as a remembrance of when you used to have OCD, when you used to be very unhappy, when you used to have to take medication, when you used to have just pain and suffering and misery and just a relief that it's over. Okay. That scenario in your mind, it could be, I'll give you some examples. You could be sitting outside by the pool of the house that you wish you owned. Beautiful, or out to dinner with your friends with a glass of wine, just talking about it. And make sure you're imagining them looking at you in your face, and they have the feeling of relief too, that this time is over for you. Okay? Sit back in the chair or wherever you are in that memory and feel the feeling, and this is the key, feeling of relief that you no longer have it. What you've done, and I'm going to tell you how to end that imaginary thought, okay? What you've just done is reprogrammed your subconscious mind. Now, understand, it's your subconscious mind that is throwing these imaginary scenarios into your thought process, and causing you to play out these nightmarish scenarios throughout your day that is ruining your life and your love life and your relation, everything. It's ruining everything. So you've just reprogrammed that subconscious mind. You did it 5 minutes before you went to sleep for a reason, okay? And the last thoughts in your mind before you doze off to sleep has to be the feeling of relief. Let it go the moment before you lose control, meaning that when you're going to finally fall asleep, that moment right before you lose control and you drift off, let it go. Just let it go. You've just reprogrammed your subconscious mind. The next morning you're going to wake up and you're going to notice that your mind is filled with feelings. Now, for example, I'll tell you how I do it. I do it with unconditional love always. That's the key. So as I'm talking to these people, when I'm creating my new life, my reality, I tell them, this is the conversation I have with them. Guys, everyone I meet treats me with unconditional love. It's amazing. Everything I see unconditional love in it. Every place I go, I'm received with unconditional love. And then that starts the conversation with the OCD being gone, okay? And then you go through it, and then remember what I told you right before you go. It has to be done right before you go to bed. Doesn't work any other time. If you want to know why, watch some of the videos on Kabbalistic, okay? But it has to be done this way. And then when you wake up in the following morning, whatever your last thoughts were of the prior day is what your new automatic thought process is going to be. So your subconscious, we're going to call it subconscious for everybody so we're going to call it subconscious in this video for many reasons, but your subconscious is going to now suggest all the next day whatever your last thoughts were from the night before. There's no more converting thought. If you find yourself converting thought all day, interrupting that thought process, whichever way that you watched the video that they did it, it's not going to work. You're going to get, your mind is going to get exhausted. If you have been told that you have to accept these thoughts and accept the outcomes, guess what? That'll give you temporary relief, but that is not going to fix the issue. The root of the problem is fear-based conflicts within that you haven't dealt with throughout your whole entire life, that are still rooted in your subconsciousness. And the only way to get them out is to reprogram the subconsciousness. And the only way to do that is the way I just told you how to do it, okay? You do that, you don't drink any more coffee, no more caffeine, no more. No, none of that. And you do this for 3 days, and I guarantee you're going to comment on this video and tell me I saved your life, okay? And that's okay. I got into Kabbalah, it saved my life, which is beautiful. Everything that you've ever done in your life is perfect. Your consciousness is perfect. You are one with everything and everyone, all of creation. Take great comfort in the fact that the universe is self-sustaining, and you are obviously part of the universe, therefore all things must be in your favor. It is great error to think that otherwise, okay? That's the end of the video. I hope this gives you relief. I love you unconditionally. Hit subscribe if you heard. Please share the video. I practice Kabbalah, but and I'm very versed in the Torah, a lot of Eastern tradition. But I'm only going to on Kabbalistic, or if you ever watch any of my videos on YouTube, the Kabbalistic's is a newer page. It's a new venture. But if you ever watch any of my videos, or if you know me on social media and my posts, I only teach and I only repeat in my life what I have personally experienced. What I have personally experienced. I never watch the news. I never watch any of these, and I never repeat anything that anybody tells me unless I personally experienced it. This is my philosophy in life, and which makes it so very powerful when I open my mouth. And people, I don't want anybody to ever trust anything I say. I want them to test what I say. So if you test this, I'm going to tell you something right now. You are going to cure your OCD. I want you to just take great comfort in the fact that I have beat OCD with this technique. All right. I love you. Hit the subscribe button, comment please, and share the video. All right. That's it. I love you. And remember what Buddha said. Can you read this? It says, you need to let that shit go. Make you laugh. Anyway, thanks. Do it. Do it tonight. 5 minutes before you go to bed. I love you. Thanks. Oh, remember, do it in the first person. And feeling is the key. If you don't have feeling behind any of this stuff, if you do not have feeling behind the imaginary conversations, it's meaningless. It will not work. And if it's not in the first person, meaning that the words are coming out of your mouth, you're looking at your loved ones and they're looking back at you, if it's not like that, it will not work. Okay? This is Hebrew. This is Hebrew mysticism at its strongest. I love you. Thanks. Bye-bye.